Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome to a new tier ranking video. The last tier ranking video of 2023. Yeah, there's still about a week and a couple of days left from when I'm recording this, but I'm not going to be hitting the theaters again between now and New Year's Eve, so I figure I can go ahead and do this. These are, as you can see here, these are all the movies I got to see in theaters 2023. There were some movies I just didn't get out to because I wasn't feeling too great, or in some instances, my local theater wasn't carrying it at all. I really wanted to see Bottoms, but it didn't really get the chance. I'll probably catch it on streaming at some point. And I had been planning to go see Creed 3. I missed it on opening day because I had something else scheduled, but I was going to go a few days later, but my next day off work. And between Creed 3's opening day and that day off was when the allegations against Jonathan Majors came out. So yeah, that's the reason you're not seeing that one on this list. And I didn't go see Ant-Man 3, even though I'd really wanted an Ant-Man 3 after Ant-Man 2 had come out, and there were rumors that Marvel wasn't going to do an Ant-Man 3. And I swear I wasn't holding a monkey paw when I said I wanted an Ant-Man 3, but I mean, again, also that also was before the allegations against Majors, but there is the issue of Evangeline Lilly and her anti-vax bullshit. And generally speaking, I try to skip movies that feature anti-vaxxers in prominent roles. The only reason I went to see Wakanda Forever is because I'd been misled to believe that Shuri wouldn't be playing that much of a role, and that the movie would be more of an ensemble piece. But no, she was very much the lead in that. And but speaking of Wakanda Forever, has anybody heard anything more about the sexual assault allegations against Tenoch? Because, god damn it. Let's go ahead and start off with okay, so Tiermaker has sorted these by file name. Hey, the police helicopter. Yeah, Joy. Don't know if you can hear that. So, as you can see, I've gone ahead and jettisoned the D tier. Nothing. I liked all of these. I did not dislike any of these movies. C tier, where I'm going to put the C tier, I'm going to put in C tier is movies that my like for them has been dampened somewhat by things I learned about either about the production of the film, or some things getting pointed out to by other reviewers that I didn't pick up on while I was watching. And it's like, I do still like the movie, but there's a chance that if I watch it again, I might not feel the same way. Figuring out the B and A and S tier, that's going to be a little tougher. I think I'll just figure that out as I go. But C is kind of like the, yeah, it's good, I just don't know if it'll hold up on future viewing. And so I think I already mentioned that the files are listed in that the posters here are listed in order of file name from when I uploaded. So I guess that we're going to be starting us off with a bit of a C here. Oh, goddamn. Across the Spider-Verse was so good while I was watching it. And it broke my heart so much to hear what just an absolute nightmare production it was, how badly the directors treated the animators. That was just... Oh, it does take a lot out of the movie for me. I mean, I probably could watch it again at some point, but I think I'm going to wait a while on that. Also, there's I think it's still up in the air about whether or not one of the lead actors supports Israel's ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign in Palestine. That kind of hoping that's not true. Yeah, this video's already pushing it in terms of tone. So let's move on to Okay, it's sort of a similar deal with Across the Spider-Verse. There are some things. Yeah, I'm not with the production though, so I'll go ahead and put Barbie up in the B tier. Yeah, I think before I saw Jesse Gender's video about that, it probably would have gone up into S. But I mean, I do think a couple of the points that she and her co-writer Aronaka made are sort of assuming a degree of incompetence on the part of the filmmakers. I don't think it was there. I think there's more of a, push and pull between Greta Gerwig and the studio. They do make a really good point, though, about like the exclusion of natives from the movie while including a rather inappropriate joke about them. I will say, in defense of the very last scene of the movie before the credits, I don't think that was trying to reinforce some like transmedicalist or even idea of, the like only. What's with all these outdoor noises? Why did it have to be now? Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the movie, you kind of know the scene I'm talking about. I think one thing, don't think Jesse and Aronaka are necessarily wrong, but I do think one thing that they leave out is two things. One, it's not like there is no such thing as a purely universal experience for like all women, but I do believe that with most women, a trip to the gynecologist is a pretty normal thing, and that includes for trans women who've had vaginoplasties. So, and the second thing is gynecologist is just one of those words. It's kind of funny to say, like gazebo or macadamia. It's it. I mean, maybe I'm giving the writer of the movie a little too much credit there, but. Sticking with the B tier, gonna put Blue Beetle. Absolute. Okay, one thing I will say very positive about this: best thing I have ever seen George Lopez in. And he pulls off a character that is really hard to pull off as it is, especially since it's the kind of character that really can only exist in movies, and it's the lovable conspiracy theorist. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to think of someone in real life who could fit that. It's like maybe Richard Belzer. I don't know. But, the action scenes were great. It was great to see Jaime Reyes on the big screen. I liked that character. I liked every version of Blue Beetle, to be honest. But, it was bright and colorful, which was something that the DCEU has been sorely lacking. I don't particularly like Susan Sarandon as a person, but I thought she was actually pretty good as the villain. I actually think she could have stood to ham it up a little more. To be honest, I think she maybe played the villain a little too straight. And the villain death at the end was kind of on the unsatisfactory end. So, I mean, those factors. Plus, there's the fact. Yeah, no, actually, no. That's pretty much it. That's what brings it down to B tier. Like I said, I liked every movie I saw in theaters this year. So, oh god, I'm wondering if I should have even kept the C tier now that I'm thinking about it. But oh god. Okay. Nah, never mind. I'll leave the C tier. And speaking of C tier, we're going back to that one for Cocaine Bear. God damn it, that movie was a lot of fun. But I do kind of agree with one criticism about that it maybe needed to be a little more over the top than it was, which is sort of a similar complaint I had about Susan Sarandon and Blue Beetle, but that applies to the whole movie as opposed to just one character. There was one really bizarre editing choice towards the end with like a really quick flashback. I don't really know what that was about. Maybe they forgot to film something. On the whole, though, I think I actually liked this movie more than most people did. Or at least most people in my circles. I shouldn't speak for such large groups of people. But, yeah, and, Ray Liotta was fine in one of his last roles. He didn't need to bring his A game to it, though. It wasn't really that kind of part. He kind of just needed to be Ray Liotta, and he was, so. I think the CGI work on this was really good. There were a couple of times where I thought they like combined CGI with a practical outfit, and only to find out later it's like, no, it was actually entirely CGI. And I'm like, oh wow, that's okay. Hard to go wrong with Margot Martindale. She's usually funny. Yeah, I think the movie could have stood again. The movie could have stood to be a little bit more over the top, but I as it stands though, I still enjoy it, and also I didn't mind the stuff with the human characters. I know I think some of the complaints about the time spent on the human characters is a little unfair. But okay, so we're gonna move. We're gonna finally start filling out the A's and S's here, folks. And our first A tier movie, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Holy shit, this movie is just so much fun. I mean, the only reason it's not going into S tier is because I think there were a couple of beats that were a little too predictable. I mean, to my mind, there's two kinds of predictable, and I sum up what these two types of predictable are in the following way. There's, oh, I can see what's coming, and then there's, oh, I can see what's coming, and there was both in this movie, but there were a couple that were like the former, and I didn't particularly care for that. Although that's about the only real ding I have for this movie. A ding I have for the audiences is, well, actually, no, I can't be too mad at people who didn't go to see it, because all the previous movies that had Dungeons and Dragons in the title were pretty bad, and plus the owners of the Dungeons and Dragons IP were being pretty shitty around this time with regards to, the tabletop version of the game. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully we can still kind of get a sequel with these characters. I think, they all played off each other really well. God, I kind of agree. I wish I remember who it was on Twitter that said that it should be a running gag for any D&D movies going forward, is that the character of Jonathan just being inconvenienced in every single one. That would be hilarious. Yeah. Actually, fuck it. S tier. I'm gonna go ahead and put up into the S tier there. Screw it. I've talked myself into it. My complaints about it were so minor. Why did I not put it in S tier in the first place? Yeah. Now, more of an A tier. Do I really put this in an A tier? No, you know what? No, I think even with, well, my estimation of the Barbie movie has dipped a little bit since I saw it, in large part because of that Jessie Gender video, which I didn't agree with entirely, but she did raise some good points. Yeah, no, I can't quite bring myself. Yeah, I would still say I liked this movie less than Barbie even after it also. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Hey, how do you like that? We finally got a third good one. I know this is something of a controversial opinion, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. All the odd-numbered Indiana Jones movies are good. All the even-numbered ones suck. And yes, that means I am saying that this is better than Temple of Doom. I honestly don't know why so many people seem to love Temple of Doom so much. Why so many people say it's like there was only a trilogy and it's just Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. Like, no, fuck you. I'm sorry. Temple of Doom sucks. It sucks. I don't know why so many people... I don't even like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I have only seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull once. I have no intention to ever watch it again, and I still say that it's better than Temple of Doom. Fight me on that. Okay, I'm gonna rank the Indiana Jones movies from best to worst for you right here, folks. I will die on this hill. Number 1, Last Crusade. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 3, Dial of Destiny. Number 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Number 5, Temple of Doom. Deal with it. Yeah, I think I mean, plenty of the complaints about Dial of Destiny that they spent too much money on it. Fair. The CGI doesn't always work. Fair. I think it's better than a lot of people say it is, but it's not consistently better. There are definitely portions of the movie where I would say the critics of the CGI are completely right. And they did underuse Antonio Banderas. Maybe it could have been shorter. I'm not sure where they would have cut it, though. But yeah, I think this is honestly probably as good as a movie this late in the franchise with a lead actor this old could possibly hope to be. And I think it actually did a good job handling some of its themes of, aging and legacy and regret and all that. It's like, I'm kind of generally not a fan of killing off characters between sequels. But, I mean, even in cases where the actor is a dick, like Shia LaBeouf, but I think here it honestly works. One, because Shia LaBeouf is a dick, but also I think it actually did benefit the story. So, yeah, I think this should not be a controversial opinion, but sadly it is. And I think a lot of it is for culture war reasons. But yeah, I definitely have no problem saying that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is... Actually, I think it is... Okay, so Indiana Jones is one of those rare film franchises that actually can be broken up into 2 centuries. Because, you had the first 3 movies come out in the 20th century, and the last 2 come out in the 21st century. Of the 2 to come out in the 21st century, this is the good one. I'm not even going to just say it's better than the last one, because that's giving the last one too much credit. This is the good one. And I think as fifth film entries in franchises go, it's pretty damn good too. I'm trying to think of any other 5s that are as good as this one, and honestly, I got nothing. Granted, I have still not seen Scream 5, so I put an asterisk on that. But yeah, I think as 5th films go, definitely this one. Going back up into the S tier, and normally when I put these things on, there have been a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, when I add something to one of the ranks, it just goes on. They just go on in the order I put them. I'm not going to do that this time. I mean, I do stand by my rankings with regard to the 3 that are in the B tier. You can probably guess where this is going. Yeah, Godzilla -1 is going up into the S tier, and it is going above Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, as good as Dungeons and Dragons was, it did not carry as much weight as Godzilla -1. I think this might just be the best Godzilla movie ever. Period. I mean, I might have had more fun with King of the Monsters, but I mean, if one looks at the American version and the Japanese versions as wholly separate from each other, which we probably should anyway, -1 is definitely... Oh, I cried during this several times. That's never happened before. I don't think I've ever really cared this much about the human characters in these movies. I mean, I think I've cared about them a little more than some people have. I think some people are a little hard on the 2014 and King of the Monsters versions. Human characters, though. I mean, not by a lot. Here, though, I was so invested in them. When I thought that 2 of them were dead, I was just sobbing. And this might just... I haven't seen too many people bring this up, but I honestly think this might be the most just chilling depiction of Godzilla's atomic breath I have ever seen. I don't know if I've ever seen any entry in the franchise take it that seriously, and it works. I don't think they even really needed that little bit of sequel beta at the end. I think this could just be a standalone film that's just, like a reboot that takes place several years before the original one would have, having Godzilla show up early. I think that really works with the plot and everything, and it works how people respond or fail to respond to him. Just, Oh, it's so good. I would call this movie of the year. There is no chance in hell Godzilla minus one is going to like get like a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars, but fuck, it should. God damn. Like, and I'm saying this about a Godzilla movie. Okay, so we haven't filled anything out in the A tier yet. It's time for some A tier stuff. And first up in the A tier, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Okay, there are some criticisms of that I didn't have initially upon watching that I also kind of picked up from a Jessie Gender video that also was a collaboration with Aronach. But I think in that case it's like it's one fairly minor thing. It's like I can understand it taking other people out. It didn't bother me that much because I mean it is ultimately a sci-fi action movie, and there are sort of when one's making a movie in a genre, there are concessions that one might need to make to that genre. I mean, not that no filmmaker should ever feel 100% beholden to a genre, but also, I mean, if you're going to make a movie in that genre, you need to stick to some of it, at least. So I'm not really going to get into the details on that one. I'm just going to say, fucking hell, James, how is James Gunn? How are you the only director who can actually get me to care about Chris Pratt? I mean, okay, apart from the first Lego movie, I've just never liked anything that Chris Pratt has done, and I've never liked him in them. But the three Guardians movies are really the exception to that. And I guess the Guardians holiday special too, although that one was really just okay. But this is truly a great ending for all of these characters. I think it's fair to say that Guardians is actually the best of the MCU trilogies. And that's kind of some tough competition because all three of the Captain America movies are pretty solid. Probably going to skip 4 for various reasons, but not going to get into that. I think I've gotten a little too political in this video as it is. Yeah, because I think this is the only one where they were like consistently good. I mean, with Iron Man, 1 and 3 are good. I like 3. Fuck you. With Spider-Man, 1 and 3. I liked 2 at the time, but once I got a little bit more distance from seeing the theaters, like a lot more of the cracks began to show in that one. Thor, yeah, Thor 1 and 3. And then Ant-Man, I'm not even watching 3, so let's not get into that. So yeah, I'd say Guardians, best MCU trilogy with Captain America, close second. Great ending for all these characters, great music choices. Though that seems to be something of a James Gunn specialty. See also the Suicide Squad, the good Suicide Squad movie. Yeah, I mean, again, he got me to care about Chris Pratt. I in the theater, Chris Pratt, who is just someone I don't particularly like that much. His character, it looks like he's about to die, and I'm crying. Like, only James Gunn can do that. But ultimately, this is Rocket Raccoon's movie, and it's all the better for it. I mean, there are some questionable choices. I think the one thing that keeps it out of the S tier is like the somewhat iffy optics of casting a non-white actor to play someone who, I mean, they never call him that on the screen, but if you've read a lot about fascist ideology, I know, I'm sorry, getting political again, but casting a non-white actor to play a fascist, it's always a tricky prospect. I mean, we know all too well with the likes of Enrique Tarrio with the Proud Boys and with your Candace Owenses and Nick Fuentes and whatnot, that there are non-Caucasian people who will embrace fascist ideology for whatever reason. But I mean, okay, the actor though, oh god, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who played the High Evolutionary, as problematic as that is, his performance really manages to not undo that bit of iffiness, but it makes it tolerable. I think this may be one of the best, at least in terms of performance, one of the best villains we've had in the entirety of the MCU. Yeah, I think I'm ready to move on from Guardians 3 there. You know, up until like a couple of weeks ago, I would have figured I'd be putting Barbie over Guardians 3, but I'll include a link to that Jesse Gender video. The one about Barbie. I think the one about Guardians, it's not bad, but I'm not going to go out of the way to recommend it because I think, well, actually, no. I'll include both. I'll include both in the show notes. Mutant Mayhem. Okay, I'm going to put that one. Where am I going to put that one? God. I think I'll put that between. Yeah, I'll put that between Blue Beetle and Dial of Destiny. I think. Honestly, I think my biggest down point with this movie is that a couple of the voice actors are just not great people. Which, I mean, yeah, you know, with Ice Cube going full Trumper and Jackie Chan like being a homophobe who disowned his own daughter. That's not great, but I think also, yeah, they could have stood to spend a little less time on the whole April O'Neil, nervous vomiting when she's on camera. That bit of her character arc for the movie. I think they could have done a little less with that. Overall, though, I think this is a fun action movie. I think that, setting aside the whole Jackie Chan of it all, the way the tack they took with Splinter for this adaptation was actually genuinely interesting, something they've never done before. A different take on Bebop and Rocksteady. That'll be interesting to see if they can follow through with that in the sequel. I hope they don't undo it for the sequel just to make them henchmen for Shredder again. We don't get Shredder in this movie except for like the sequel bait thing at the end. The turtles actually sound like teenagers, which I think is something of a first for this franchise, despite the fact that teenage is literally the first word of the title. I did not go into this movie expecting the soundtrack to be a love letter to 90s hip hop, but it was, and I appreciated it. And I think it's a fun action movie that I can totally understand some people not connecting with it because of how much the teenage characters actually act like teenagers. I could kind of see that being off-putting, the way they'll talk over each other and stuff like that, but that's fairly realistic. And some of the diehards might not appreciate that Splinter is not that Splinter has to have character growth in it, that he's not like the wise mentor through the whole movie. I could see that being a little off-putting to some of the diehards, but then again, those diehards would probably never be happy. Yeah, I'd say on the whole, I think if you're a Turtles fan, you'll like the movie. And if you're not a Turtles fan, I think it's, I don't know if it's the best entry into the franchise. I think you might still be better off starting them with like the 1990 movie, but you could, I think you maybe could create a new Turtles fan with this. I'm just not sure. If anyone out there has tried, let me know how it went. I'm sorry if the editing on this video feels a little janky, but for some strange reason, I've started coughing during recording, and I don't know why, because I was not having any issues with coughing all damn day. Suddenly I turn on the microphone, and I'm just... Okay, just a couple more to get through here. The Blackening. A great horror comedy. I loved this. This movie. It's so funny. And I also kind of loved the subtext of exploring the idea of gatekeeping blackness, which, me as a white person, I should probably not talk about that one. I will link to... Oh, what was the YouTuber's name? I'm not a regular subscriber. It just came up in my recommendations. I think Laron Reedus did a good video about the subtext of this movie. So I'll just include a link to him in the show notes. But it is kind of a great point about, the whole villain's motivation was that, all these folks had basically declared him to not be black enough, while they themselves all have at least one aspect of their personality that could also get them declared to be not black enough by gatekeepers. Like you have the one who's gay, you have the one with a white father, you have the one who knows how to swim. But yeah, it's just really funny, and I think it would actually make a pretty good double feature with Clue. And we'll close off with, I am so sad this movie didn't do better. I can kind of understand. I do think that, I think the perception that you needed to have watched, like 2 television shows and another movie to get this, when, honestly, in the movie itself, it gives you like these real quick explanations that are clearly meant to be there for anyone who either hasn't seen anything prior to this or who maybe might not have remembered it. But the perception that people would have needed to would absolutely be a turnoff, because nobody wants to do homework to watch a movie. But yeah, I'm putting the Marvels in the A tier. That was just fun. It was really, I think the 3 of them played off each other really well. Kamala Khan is just awesome. I think this is if this ends up being the last entry this is a much better exit from the MCU for Nick Fury than fucking Secret Invasion, which is just, I read spoilers on that, and yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch it, and I never will. Secret Invasion is going on the not with a 10-foot pole pile along with Ant-Man 3 and probably Captain America 4, the way things are going. But yeah, oh god, that was a better use of the song from Cats than in Cats. I loved the little musical bit that they had, that musical planet they went to. I know some people whined about that, but these are the same people who cried "Jump the Shark" over the musical episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And to them I say, what must it be like to live your life with no capacity for joy? Now, that mid-credit sequence, if that's the way they're setting up bringing the X-Men into the MCU, that was a little underwhelming, I'll be honest. The villain was, I get where people are coming from on this, on Dar-Ben suffering from, Marvel villain syndrome, how often the villains are like the least interesting part of these movies, apart from like, Loki or Thanos. I don't know. I'll be honest, I kind of thought the character was kind of hot. Honestly, Dar-Ben kind of had that, like, she'd kill me after, but it would still be worth it kind of thing, if you get where I'm going. But I can kind of see why some people who saw this movie thought she was underwhelming. Maybe I'm just weird. I don't know. But yeah, I really, really do not appreciate how quick Disney seems to be to throw the director under the bus for this one, especially, trying to make it an issue that she did things that plenty of white male directors have done but have never gotten flack for. Yeah, I'm going there. And then, of course, all the fucking culture war bullshit about it. And then, film Twitter just basically looking for, who just desperately wanted any Marvel movie to underperform so that they could finally feel justified in, having spent like basically the last 4 years going, the MCU is over, the MCU is over. And, meanwhile, they're out there promoting movies that have really creepy subtexts that could easily be read as pedophilic, and then saying it's like, oh, you're just a prude and you're only thinking this because you like Marvel movies. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure I would be deeply uncomfortable of a movie that features an explicit sex scene with a character who is described in the text as having the mind of a 4-year-old, even if I'd never watched a Marvel movie. But, not sure what it says about you there, bud. You'd think that. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Poor Things is a great movie. It was made by the guy who made The Lobster. And I loved The Lobster. The Lobster is a great movie. If you have not seen The Lobster, Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, good movie. Really, really, really good movie. The Lobster. Wow, I spent way much more time talking about dark themes on this video than I expected to or wanted to, and I am terribly, terribly sorry about that. I think maybe some of it I can edit out, and if I'm successful, you'll be wondering why I'm saying that I spent so much time talking about dark shit. So here we are. These are let me take one. What I say? Yeah, the cat's bit puts it over the top. I'm going to put Marvels over The Blackening, but just barely. Okay, so ranking the like I said, I liked everything, so we'll go from least good to best for 2023. Cocaine Bear, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, Blue Beetle, Barbie, The Blackening, The Marvels, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and number 1 is Godzilla -1. Yeah, sorry I didn't get to see... I don't only watch blockbusters. I really hope no one thinks... Well, okay, no one who watches Shameless Cash Grab thinks I only watch blockbusters because, that's not what my show is about. But, it's just some of like the big, indie and horror movies, it's like they were either only playing at a time when I had something else going and they were like only in the theater for a week, or they didn't play at my local theater at all. Again, I really, really wanted to see Bottoms, but... And actually, It's a Wonderful Knife. There was a Christmas themed horror movie called It's a Wonderful Knife, and it played for like 1 week in November, and I wish I would have loved to see that. I think it's available on Shudder. But yeah. So, hey, maybe next year I can knock out some more, indie kind of, mid-budget stuff. That would be nice. But, yeah, okay. I have no idea how to end this video. I should have thought of that ahead of time. Good night, everybody.